Okay, just for a second, picture this. You are sealed inside a massive steel tube, hundreds of feet beneath the surface of the ocean. You're completely cut off from the rest of the world for months at a time. I mean, it is one of the most extreme, most hostile environments humans have ever decided to live in.
And you know, this quote really nails it. Forget the crushing pressure of the ocean for a minute. The real battle is the psychological one happening inside that tube. So, let's dive in and figure out how survival is even possible in a place where just one tiny mistake can be your absolute last.
And when I say no mistakes, I mean zero mistakes. The deep sea does not forgive, and the history of submarines is, well, it's littered with some pretty terrifying cautionary tales.
Okay, get this story. The U-1106 is deep in the North Sea. Its captain tries to use their new, high-tech toilet but gets the valve sequence wrong. A jet of seawater just blasts into the sub. That water then floods the battery compartment below, and the chemical reaction creates clouds of deadly chlorine gas. They had no choice. They had to surface immediately, right in front of British patrols. The sub was destroyed. All of that from flushing a toilet the wrong way.
So that's the big question, right? How on earth do you keep a crew of over 100 people alive and sane for months at a time inside a machine where the smallest error, well, you just heard what can happen? The answers are just an incredible mix of engineering genius and some serious human psychology.
First, let's just talk about the space. Or maybe the total lack of it. A modern submarine, it might look gigantic from the outside, but you have to remember the inside is crammed with engines, weapons, and supplies. The actual room left over for the crew, it's shockingly small.
This really puts it into perspective. The average prison cell gives an inmate about 80 square feet. A submariner, they get maybe 20. Privacy just isn't a thing. It doesn't exist. You are always, and I mean always, shoulder to shoulder with your crewmates. You can imagine the psychological toll that takes.
And oh, it gets even crazier. Most subs don't even have enough beds for every crew member. So they do something called hot bunking. Basically, when your shift ends, you crawl into the bunk that was just emptied by the person whose shift is starting. The mattress is literally never cold. Think about that. Your bed isn't even really yours.
So, if you've got this crew packed in like sardines, how do you sustain life? Well, the submarine isn't just a ship. It's a completely self-contained life support machine. It's like a mini biosphere deep underwater. Let's break down how they pull this off.
First up, food. A submarine carries something like 20,000 kilograms of it, and it's stuffed into every single nook and cranny. For the first few weeks, they'll have fresh meals, but after that, it's all canned and frozen stuff. And the quality has to be top-notch, because good food is one of the biggest morale boosters on board. They even get 4 meals a day, including a late-night one they call mid-rats, just to keep everyone's spirits and energy up.
Okay, food's one thing, but you can't exactly pack months' worth of breathable air into tanks. In a sealed steel tube, that's the #1 problem you've got to solve. So where does the oxygen come from?
The solution is just brilliant. They make their own air from the ocean itself. The sub pulls in seawater, then uses a process called electrolysis. A really powerful electric current zaps the water molecules, the H2O, and splits them into hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen gets pumped into the sub for everyone to breathe, and the super flammable hydrogen gas is safely shot back out into the city.
And the scale of this whole operation is just mind-boggling. To keep a crew of 130 people alive, that system has to generate 78,000 liters of oxygen every single day. It's basically an underwater space station.
But you know, making oxygen is really only half the battle. Every time the crew breathes out, they're releasing carbon dioxide, and that stuff is toxic if it builds up. So, the sub has these machines called scrubbers that are constantly pulling CO2 out of the air with a chemical called amine. And if that main system ever fails, they've got these emergency canisters of soda lime that can literally trap the CO2 as a last resort.
Okay, so air is covered. But what about fresh water? You know, for drinking, for cooking, for cleaning. You're surrounded by trillions of gallons of water, but you can't drink any of it.
Yep, the sub makes its own fresh water too. They do it either by boiling seawater and collecting the steam, that's distillation, or by using these super high-tech filters in a process called reverse osmosis. But even though they can make it, it takes a ton of energy. So water is strictly rationed. There's a famous Navy shower. You get wet, turn the water off, soap up, and then you get a super quick rinse. We're talking 60 seconds max. It's all about conserving every last drop. And finally, What goes in must come out. Getting rid of waste is another one of these incredibly high-stakes jobs. All the waste collects in these special tanks, and then it's blasted out into the sea with unbelievably powerful pumps. The pressure from those pumps has to be stronger than the crushing water pressure outside. It's just another system where, like we saw with the U-1206, getting the valve sequence wrong could be a complete disaster. So the machine, this incredible machine, keeps the body alive. But what about the mind? When you have no sunlight, no contact with your family, and you're living in a constant state of high alert, how do you keep from losing it?
Well, one of the simplest but most powerful tricks is all about controlling the light. Submarines create their own artificial day-night cycle. During day shifts, the lights are bright and white, just to simulate daylight. But during the night shifts, everything switches over to red light. This does two things. It signals to your body's internal clock that it's time to rest, and it also preserves the crew's night vision, which is absolutely critical if they need to look through a periscope into the dark.
But even with all of this amazing technology and incredible discipline, the danger is always there. It's constant. The battle for survival is never really won, it's just fought over and over again, every minute of every single day. And this story is the final, chilling proof of just how fragile life is on a sub. The USS Tang fired one of its last torpedoes at an enemy ship, but the torpedo's guidance system failed. It malfunctioned, made a huge circle in the water, and came right back around, striking the very submarine that launched it. It's a terrifying reminder that sometimes the biggest threat isn't the enemy out there, but the complex, powerful machine that you call home.
So, when you get right down to it, life on a submarine is a constant war fought on 3 different fronts. There's the war against a potential enemy, the war against the crushing pressure of the ocean, and the war against the chance of failure within their own machine and, of course, their own minds. So, the real question is, which one of those is the most dangerous? That's definitely something to think about.